Hello, everybody. Bradley Allen Hensley back again. The gun debate's coming back around for some reason. But I'm going to put it to you this way. I believe that owning a gun is a right. I have watched and studied history enough to know that the moment, and I mean the moment, that the government of any country decides to take away its citizens' right to own a gun, very shortly thereafter, it becomes a dictatorship or a totalitarian or a communistic society. My case of my a case of point to show the truth would be Nazi Germany, North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, and Russia when it right after the Bolshevik Revolution. You see, right after the Bolshevik Revolution, the government rounded up everybody that had a gun and had helped with that revolution that they deemed to be a threat, threw them into a gulag without any due process, without any kind of court appearance or whatever. And by the way, the very Russian word gulag means political prison. So you see, the fact that that countries throughout the years have done this. I mean, Vietnam, as soon as we pulled out of Vietnam, they disarmed their citizens and boom. Shit, as soon as we pulled out, they were fucking communistic. Same thing with North Korea when the truce was signed, because it's not a peace treaty, it was a ceasefire was signed. North Korea became communistic. South Korea, the citizens kept their weapons and they became capitalistic. You see, China, the same thing. China, when Mao came in, he took away the citizens' weapons and made them all communist and then started enacting these crazy laws that hurt them in the end. I mean, it's killing them now. The one-child policy has come back now to bite them in the ass because they don't have enough people to take care of the elderly. Everywhere that there has been a dictatorship that has come about, they have first removed the citizen's right to own a weapon. Why? Because if a citizen has the right to own a weapon and their country is trying to go in a certain way, they can fight back. Now, they may not amount to shit, but they can fight back against it and make other people think about it. But you see, as soon as they remove the right to the citizens to own weaponry, what do? They immediately remove the right of free speech, of being able to do anything that the government does not say is allowed. No discerning political opinions, no one stating, hey, look at this guy, he's a hypocrite, he's telling us this and doing that. The media backs him 100%. I mean, it's always nothing but bad shit that happens when governments take our guns. Now, not just for the fact of being able to defend ourselves against a totalitarian, dictator, monarchist, or communistic type of government, but if someone breaks into my house, I want to be able to have the ability to defend my family, my property, and my life. Not necessarily in that order. The correct order I would put would be my family, my life, and my property. You see, do I I love to go hunting. Ain't nothing better. It's just, for me, the woods, the weaponry, whatever it be it a crossbow, a bow, a gun, a musket loader, whatever, I could get out in the woods and be fucking at peace. I love hunting. And it's a good way to put meat on the table that's not that expensive. But when the government removes your right to own a firearm, well, you can't even do that. And not only that, but if the government can remove your ability to have a right, in this case, let's say owning a firearm, then it wasn't really a right anyway, it was a privilege. You see, it is not a right to drive a car or a truck or whatever. It is a privilege to be able to drive those things. So you need a driver's license. Now, it used to be back in the day, and this is why they're called license plates. It's because it was back in the 50s, you did not, in the 60s and the 40s and the 30s, you did not need a license, a physical, in your hand ID that says you could drive a vehicle. What told the police officer that you were able to drive a vehicle was the fact that your vehicle had a license plate. You see, driving, that's a privilege. Owning a weapon is a right. So that we, as citizens, if we see our country going in a way that is not in line with what our founding fathers had in mind and with our sensibilities and our morals, we can stand up and say, no, we will not allow this. And if need be, we can fight back. Now, you can say that, a rifle is not going to do nothing against an AR, against a fucking F-22 Raptor, a Black Hawk. But I can respectfully disagree. Because all it takes is one well placed shot and you can take anything down. All you gotta do is get that chopper when it's low, flying low. All you gotta do is hit the flight control lever, disengage it, and that chopper can't rise. It can still move forward, but it cannot rise. It can go down, but it cannot rise. And once that happens, they have to land because all kinds of other shit starts going haywire. There's a weird vibration in it that causes everything else to pop out of sync and they go down. With a F-22 Raptor, all you gotta be able to do is hit that motherfucker just as it's taking off into the fucking dead on the fucking in the cockpit. Hit it right on the fucking nose where that bullet's going inward and it's gonna fuck up the electronics and it's coming down. You see, I know these things not because I have thought about it, planned it out, and plan on acting it out. No. I know these things because I do my research. I look at the designs of things. I look at how a bullet is designed, how an aircraft is designed. I look at, okay, what's a bullet designed to do? What's a bullet made out of? What's an airplane made out of? What's a chopper made out of? You see, and airplanes are generally made out of thin aluminum, what they call aircraft metal, aircraft grade aluminum. It's thin, but it's durable aluminum. Well, you put a round into that motherfucker, it's punching. It's punching through that skin. And once it punches through that skin, the only thing that's there is the electronics and wiring, and that's going to wreak a lot of havoc as it goes and does its thing. So my advice is this. to all those that say we don't need firearms, that an AR is a weapon of war, an AR-15 is a weapon of war. No. The AR does not stand for automatic rifle. It stands for Armor Light Rifle Company, which is the company that makes the AR-15 or the variations of said AR-15. There are other companies that make variations of it and that make it as well. But the first company that made it popular, was Armor Light Rifling Company. And the reason that most AR-15s, especially the early production models, look so much like an M16 or an M4 is because originally they made M16s and M4s. So when they went what I call civilian and they were started making civilian rifling and civilian weapons, they said, hey, these designs work. We'll keep the design, but we'll change the internal mechanism. The internal mechanism that they changed on both the AR-15 early versions and the ones now that look like M4s is they took and they replaced the spring in both the where the firing pin goes as well as in the magazine where the rounds go. And they put in a little bit different firing pin. You see, in the AR-15, what allows it to be fully automatic is when you pull the trigger, the gas from the round that is being sent down the barrel, some of that gas moves the firing pin backwards and at a high rate of speed. It does it fast, really fast. So when you squeeze the trigger once, you would get what's called a burst, which is 3 rounds of ammunition going out of the same tube real quick, real close together. Now, they put in a stronger spring and they put in a little bit weaker spring in the magazine so that it doesn't get fed couldn't get fed all at once. And like I said, they changed the firing mechanism just a little bit, just the firing pin just a little bit. And now you get a semi-automatic, which means one pull of the trigger, one round of ammunition is expended. These are important details to know if you're going to try to get rid of certain weapons. The fact that the 1987 Brady Bill, which makes it illegal to own a fully automatic weapon unless by some rare case you bought it before the Brady Bill went into effect, in which case then it is what is called grandfathered in. But you see, you cannot buy or own any fully automatic weaponry now. It's actually against the law. The Brady Bill made it that way. And they call it the Brady Bill because of, I believe it was a senator who was shot at by a fully automatic weapon. I think he was killed too. I have to look into that, but I think he might have been killed, at least hospitalized. You see, so they called it the Brady Bill. Well, maybe he just introduced it. Anyway, my point is still valid. Most people against the Second Amendment, against us owning weapons, they just don't want you to own one because, well, it looks like a big scary weapon. All firearms, crossbows, bows, knives, cars, they're all tools. They're all fucking tools. You know, a 3/4 inch ratchet, if you swing it at someone hard enough, will kill someone. and it's done with blunt force trauma. Same with the hammer. Do you want to remove all ratchets and hammers? Okay, well then you got to worry about the wrenches because the wrenches you can do the same thing with. Now you can't work on any cars because well you no one can own tools. You see, it's all in about how we handle them and how we deal with them and how we use them. Now you are going to have some bad eggs that want to try to fuck it up for everybody else. But the bottom line is this. The Second Amendment to our United States Bill of Rights, not the Constitution, or Bill of Rights, which is the precursor to the Constitution, is there so that, if need be, we can go to war with our own government. However, as American citizens, we really don't want to have to do that. But as in our country's history has shown, we will and are able to go to war with our government. Case in point, the Civil War. So, you see, we need the Second Amendment. Because if we didn't have the Second Amendment, the government could have just steamrolled, went in and killed everybody, and that would have been a wrap. There wouldn't have been a lot of fighting. There would have been no fighting. They would have just walked in, sent in the military with the guns, and killed everybody. It would have been a turkey shoot. So please, think about that. Think about what I have said, and remember to use your mind. It's the one weapon no one can take from you. And please, understand that this isn't coming from a place of malice or hatred. This is coming from a place of wanting to educate everybody on their rights so that we can all remain free. Have a nice day, and God bless America.